Hey everyone, today we're going to be going over the first properties of exponents. Today is the zero and negative exponent properties. Of course, there's more properties in this, but we're going to be learning about one or two a day. In your notebook, this is going to be page 62 and 63. Please make sure that you're keeping up with your notebook. I will tell you what goes on the title page later on, but for now, just make sure you glue them down on the right spot. Okay, so going into the notes, the zero exponent property says that you can raise anything to the zero power and the value will always be 1. So to put that in math terms, anything raised to the zero power is 1. Doesn't matter what it is, letter, number, expression, no matter what. So for example, 5 to the 0 power, it's easy, equals 1. Y to the 0 power, a different letter, still equals 1. Now an expression, 4x plus 1, but you see how the entire thing is in parentheses? So if it's raised to the 0 power, it still equals 1. Example 4, this one's a little bit different. Only what's in the parentheses is getting raised to the 0 power. So this part is 1, but I still have the plus 5, and we know that 1 plus 5 is 6. So that's it for the 0 power. Anything raised to the 0 power will equal 1. Just make sure that you're keeping track of what's in parentheses and what is not. Okay, the next property that I wanted to show you is the negative exponent property. If the negative exponent is on the bottom, you can move it to the top and make the exponent positive. But this works both ways. That's what vice versa means. So if the negative exponent was on the top, you can move it to the bottom and still make the exponent positive. So in math terms, this would be 1 over x to the negative n. So you see how that exponent is negative? If I were to move it to the top, the exponent would turn positive. And the other way around. So say I have something with a negative exponent on the top. I can move it to the bottom, and that exponent would become positive. But the top is blank. Anytime it's blank, you fill in a 1. Okay, so let's look at our examples. Example number 5. It's 2 to the negative 3rd power. Since that's a negative exponent, I'm going to get that 2, and I'm going to move it to the bottom. That way it can become positive. And since the top is blank, we're going to fill that in with a 1. Okay, that's it. So let's look at the next one. Negative 3 to the negative 2nd power. So same thing, it's a negative exponent. So I want it to be a positive exponent. So I'm going to move that to the bottom and make it a positive exponent. But notice how I left negative 3 in parentheses. If it was like that the first time, it needs to stay like that the second time. And then we're going to fill in the top with a 1. Okay, example number 7. I have 1 over a to the negative 4th power. So this time the negative is at the bottom. So if I want that power to become positive, I'm going to switch sides and I'm going to move it to the top. But that 1 still has to be there. So 1 times a to the positive 4th power. But we all know that whenever it's a 1 in front, you don't really need to write it. So you could just write a to the 4th. And example 8. 2 over b to the negative 7th power. Same thing. The 2 is going to stay where it's at. But that b, because it has a negative exponent, I'm going to move it up to the top. And the exponent becomes positive. And that's all that there is to that, guys. So we started super easy. I promise on Monday it's not going to be this easy anymore. But I wanted to get the easy stuff out of the way. That way on Monday we can focus on learning the harder stuff. So I gave you a practice sheet that has 20 problems on it. I kind of messed up, guys, when I was typing this out. So some of y'all are going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 like normal. Some of y'all are going to look like me where it has 21, 22, 23, 24. Honestly, the numbers don't really matter. What I'm looking at is the expression. So just so that I can give you a hint, because these are a little bit harder than the samples that I gave you, let's look at number 28. Or in yours, it might just be number 8. 2x plus 7x to the 0 power minus 9. Normally we would combine like terms, but there's nothing that's like because this x is regular and this x has a 0, so we can't combine them. But what I do know is that anytime I have an exponent of 0, so right here, that x to the 0 power, that becomes a 1. So don't get confused. The whole thing doesn't become 1, only that x to the 0. So I still have this 7 times 1. So if I were to rewrite this, it would become 2x plus 7 minus 9, because we know that 7 times 1 is 7. Now we can combine our like terms. 7 minus 9 is negative 2. Okay, let's do one with a negative exponent. So how about just right underneath it? Mine says 30, yours might say 10. Y to the negative 2, x to the negative 3. So this time they're both negative, so both numbers need to switch because I want to make them both positive. So let's start with that y. Since it was first on the top, I'm going to move it down to the bottom, and its exponent becomes positive. Then the x was to the negative 3, but it was at the bottom, so I'm going to move it up to the top, and it becomes positive. Okay, guys, make sure you finish up the rest of those problems. I honestly don't think that you guys should have that much of a problem. It should be finished today. If you finish early, please work on anything that you haven't finished from previous days. If you have any questions, come up to my table and I will help you. Okay, see you later.